I used to work here. I'm Joe. Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the August 27th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right, guys, sorry. I was trying to get on. There's some tech issues. Sometimes when the heat kicks up, it gets a little funky. I don't know why. If you get bounced, I apologize. I'm doing my best. If it gets really bad, I'll come on tomorrow. But as long as you guys are there, let me know, and I'll be glad to talk to you. Okay, the initial cuts came out, and then they were followed up by the hard cuts. You know, when no one complained when it was McAllen Castles, Malik Dixon-Williams, Ben Dooley. No one cared about those guys. But when the second wave hit, everyone got amped up, and I can see right here on the board here. Thank you, USA Expat. Steve Ramirez is also saying some Rams look like they will ride over Lampkin and Paul Jr. being cut. USA Expat, too much overreaction. And then, of course, Steve Ramirez, my comment should say some Ram fans. Yeah, of course. Yes, they are getting worked up. When I saw Lampkin was claimed by the Eagles, there was part of me, because I do have a spiteful side that runs through me. That was payback for taking Dylan McMahon off their practice squad a year ago. That went through my head. And then the other one was Pooh Paul. Now, again, almost like in two ways. One, I saw the headlines, Ram waived a high draft pick. He was a fifth rounder. Now, here's the thing about being a Rams fan is that through the years, fifth rounders have come to mean something special. I used to say, if you're a third round pick by the Rams, if you're in the top 100, you're a premium pick, right? Then you start looking at how they've been hitting all these later rounds. And so it is a little uncommon to see them cut somebody, but still a fifth round pick. I mean, Rokavius Watkins, Brandon McGee, they got cut. No one ever saw them play. Someone saw a little bit of Zach Stacy. He was a fifth rounder. Micah Kaiser had a couple of moments. Ogba Okoronkwo was a contributor, got a ring. All right. David Edwards was a fifth round pick, and he was the starting left guard on the Super Bowl 56 squad. So, yeah. Ernest Brown, he was a fifth rounder. Some guy named Kyron Williams just got extended. He was a fifth rounder. Nick Hampton, who I think is kind of lucky to still be a Ram. He was a fifth rounder. Warren McClendon, who's worked his way into a backup role. Davis Allen, he's been a contributor. And some guy named Puka Nacua. So Brennan Jackson, fifth rounder last year, got put in the street. And, of course, Pooh Paul got put in the street as well. Also, I don't think you should make too much out of the Seahawks claiming. And I know people were getting uptight. Oh, they're going to tell them secrets. You know, I think Darian Kendrick went to Seattle as well. And that was a hard cut. But, you know, Darian Kendrick, you know, that year off obviously hurt him. And then there's just other talent in the room, right? But it's kind of standard. You see it all the time. Teams will grab players cut from one of their rivals or who they're going to play the following week. They'll do that, and keep an eye on it. See what Pooh Paul gets released, maybe pass through waivers, and then ends up on the Seattle practice squad. If Pooh Paul goes in there and starts playing significant minutes for the Seahawks, then, okay, the Rams missed on Pooh Paul, but I think we've overrated the Seahawks if Pooh Paul gets significant snaps this year. So that's something to think about. Same with Darian Kendrick, who I really like and I think is an NFL corner, but numbers game eliminated him, and you saw it. I mean, when you're watching the preseason games, you knew what was coming, right? You saw it coming, and so it wasn't a huge surprise. So anyway, let's move on here. You guys had some other questions here. Manny Vasquez, Rams lost a league-high 5 players. That says a lot on how deep the roster is. I didn't know that was a league high, Manuel. That's cool. I didn't know. And it was also telling the Rams didn't grab anybody. They didn't put a claim on anybody either. I knew that, but I didn't know they lost a league high. That's interesting. Yes. Tim Burns, Schrader had hopped Rivers. Surprised they didn't keep 4 running backs. That was interesting, and we'll look at that here in a second. I'm happy that Schrader made it through. And I didn't think Ronnie Rivers would be a guy re-signed. I thought his run was over. I thought they would re-sign Jordan Waters, but they didn't. I'm glad Schrader is at least with the practice squad. Bill, they cut Pupal and Labkin, kept Reeder, Murchison. What the heck is going on? I was afraid, and I don't know if I guess I can get into it now. Should I get into it now? Okay, I will. You guys drive the show. There we go. I knew when Murchison wasn't playing. That's why you saw DeSwan Johnson playing. You thought, oh, okay, he's gone, right? They're not going to keep more than 6 defensive linemen. And I was rooting for DeSwan Johnson. But Murchison wasn't playing. So he's healthy, and he made this roster because he didn't see a snap. I don't think he played a snap in Cleveland. And then you're watching Johnson play, but you were watching him a little bit lining up on the outside, right? And that was interesting. Keir Thomas got hurt, so he's on the IR right now. Brennan Jackson, a lot of energy, but you see him, he really can't hold the edge. You knew Brennan Jackson was toast. But DeSwan Johnson, it really surprised me because the Rams technically kept 7 defensive linemen, but it makes you wonder, are they going to hybrid Johnson and make him somewhat of an edge player? Now, I'm not saying he's going to be Michael Hoyt, but he would be the 5th edge right now based on Josiah Stewart, of course, getting through concussion protocol, and Nick Hampton. But if this was some of the line of thinking, has Nick Hampton ever had an impressive moment, right? I think Nick Hampton's still lucky to be on this team. The Troy Reeder thing, this is a McSneed we trust issue, right? It's a McSneed we trust issue. He's comfort food. He's been around forever, knows the system and all the wrinkles that have been employed from Wilson to Wade Phillips. Sorry, Wade Wilson was the quarterback. From Wade Phillips to Brandon Staley to Raheem to Chris Shula. They've known him since he's been there. He's been there forever. He's comfort food, and he makes them feel comfortable. And I just hope he doesn't get any snaps. I hope he's a second coach. I want to see Spates play. I want to see Landman play, right? I want to see these guys. And when you didn't see Dolak play in the last preseason game, you knew someone was in trouble. And because he was out there, it turned out to be Pupal. I'm not high on Troy Reeder either at this point, but the Rams are. And in this case, you got to go McSneed we trust, right? McSneed we trust. So there you go. Look at these people. Is this Kroenke? No, I ain't answering Kroenke. Sorry. No, sorry. You guys always bugging me. Let's see. Micah Gutierrez. 2 things to note regarding Paul. The Rams traded up to get him. Reeder wouldn't be likely to get picked up by another team if he's on the practice squad. McVay could have kept both. You're right, Micah, and they chose not to. Something they discovered about Pooh, right? Something that, you know what? We're good, right? I think they thought we're good. They did bring back Elias Neal and put him on the practice squad. So, yeah, maybe there's just a little bit more that we're not seeing. Let's see. Rivers and Schrader, yes, Steve, are on the practice squad. No Jordan Waters. Mikey Gutierrez, very happy for Dolak making the team. Yeah, you knew it was a good sign when he didn't play in Cleveland. Let's see. Apparently, Paul had problems on special teams, according to McVay, and as a backup, that's a deal breaker. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't see that interview. Good call there, Manuel. Bill, McVay get close to some player, Reeder, and he can't cut them. You know, I might disagree with you a little bit on that, Bill. The Rams are savage. The Rams are savage when it comes to cutting these guys, right? And I think they're happy to cut him. You know, they let Reeder walk. Was it after 2022? They let Reeder walk. Remember, he bounced around a little bit, and they brought him back. He doesn't cost them any money. He's got a lot of institutional memory. He knows how to – he sets the example of what a Ram off-ball linebacker should be. Let's just hope he doesn't get too many snaps, right? Steve Ramirez, Reader is like my Golden Corral meatloaf. Okay, I'm going to say my Jack in the Box tacos. There you go, which I don't get anymore. USA Expat, is it me feeling strange seeing Fisk wearing a linebacker's number? Carl Eckern, please change numbers. Laugh out loud. Oh, I know. I go back and I do that all the time. When I see those numbers, I go, hey, what's he doing wearing that guy's number? Very frustrating to see Elroy Hirsch's number 40 on out there, right? But I digress. Go. Anytime anyone remembers Carl Eckern, you score points. Tim Burns, Reader is the Higbee of the defense. It's why. I think Higbee is a little more production-wise. Like I said, Mr. Burns, he's comfort food. Manuel Vasquez, as a veteran, Reader didn't have to go through waivers, so they could have cut him and brought him back to the practice squad, but didn't, says a lot. There you go, Manuel. Absolutely. Mike Gutierrez, McVay also confirmed that Shelton would be the starting center. Yeah, I didn't think that was a mystery anymore. I think you guys remember my rant a few months ago, but there's things you just have to learn to accept in life. USA Expat, excited to see how much Forbes plays versus Houston starts. I don't know. With those guys, I always count the snaps, right? Did they get snaps and were they playing in the fourth quarter? Those are the guys that matter. That Houston team, right? Outside of Nico Collins, there's no Tank Dell. Dalton Schultz at tight end. Joe Mixon's out. And there's some real dudes. And I'm just saying dudes of the Matt Skura, Jeremiah Colon type, maybe not that low, slated right now to start for the Texans. So Rams are in good shape at going against Houston right now. USA Expat, Houston will have Joe Mixon for game one. Absolutely. Steve Ramirez, I still don't like someone wearing Gabe's 18. I hear you because you grew up with that. I totally hear you. Bill, why did they just put Lampkin on IR? I don't know what it was. He had to clear waivers. There was something there. I don't know. I'm going to go through a list here in a second of players the Rams have moved off of, and you tell me what you think. But I liked Lampkin, but I wasn't enamored just yet, right? Manuel Vasquez, I was a little more enamored with KT Leviston, to tell you the truth. I was surprised they traded him. They went with veterans instead of him. They got their 7th rounder back for him. But I was kind of rooting for Leviston like I was rooting for Tremaine Ankrum a few years ago, but obviously it didn't work out. Boom, USA Expat, you read my notes. Houston will start a rookie at left tackle verse. Yeah, they are. They're going to start Arante Irsay, the former Minnesota guy, projected to the Rams at one point in this offseason. So, that's going to be good news for the Rams. The Eagles, with probably the league's best offensive line coach picking up Lampkin, is interesting, as is the Rams poaching Dylan McMahon last winter from the Eagles. So I think there's some quid pro quo going on there. Bill, Lampkin is going to be the Eagles' future center and be there a long time. Okay, I'm going to disagree with you, Bill, but if you're right, I will pay homage. I promise. Steve Ramirez, don't forget you only get so many partial season IR listings. There's some truth to that too. Good call there, Steve. All right, let me go back to this. Alaric Jackson practicing, Matthew Stafford practicing for the second consecutive week. And everyone's worked up about these things for the Rams who are out there practicing, and they're overlooking some of the stuff happening with other teams, and I'll get to that in a minute. Darian Kendrick-Pupal go to Seattle. Willie Lampkin goes to Philly. Brennan Jackson goes to the Raiders. That might be a good spot for him. But you know what? He's got technique issues, right? You saw it, right? He has trouble holding the edge. He needs to refine his game a little bit more. And Charles Woods, who made the team as a UDFA last year and got some playing time a little bit, he was signed by the Patriots. So, those are the 5 guys the Rams lost. And, pretty good stuff there. I saw this weird thing. John Johnson, who's not signed with the Rams or any place is suspended for 3 weeks. Just the fact his name appears tells me if there's an injury, would John Johnson get the call? Rivalry unis are to be released tomorrow, and I hold no hope. I expect something along the lines of the Cracker Barrel rebrand. Not too excited about it. I know they're going to biff it because they probably got someone in there who comes from the same school the Cracker Barrel people went through and the Bud Light people went through. Instead of just doing something that should just be traditional and blue collar, they're going to go for the glitz. And then we're going to hear from The Rock saying something, right? Whatever. Okay. All right. 3 quarterbacks, Garoppolo, Stafford, Garoppolo, Bennett. 3 running backs, not even a 4th. Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Jarquez Hunter. 6 receivers, Adams, Nakua, Atwell, Whittington, and Xavier Smith, Kanata Muntfield, and then Tyler Higbee, Parkinson, Davis Allen, Terrence Ferguson. Notice how you didn't even see Colby Parkinson in this offseason or in the preseason. Sorry. Starting line, there's 10 offensive linemen. That tells you a lot. 10 offensive linemen. Alaric Jackson, Steve Avila, moving left to right, Coleman Shelton, Kevin Donson, Rob Havenstein. Backing up Havenstein, Warren McClendon. Backing up Alaric Jackson is DJ Humphries. Justin Diedick is on the roster. Bo Limmer is on the roster. And the Rams kept Quisenberry, who's a veteran, who's got experience. And that one surprised me. I thought they were showcasing him because when he was playing. And I think it was a statement, They liked Leviston, but it's easy to move off of him and keep a veteran in-house, right? You've got 10 guys there, and you got 3 veterans there lined up at left tackle in case anything goes wrong. And we won't have to see Warren McClendon play left tackle, which we don't want, right? I did hear that Justin Diedick, who made the roster, started 3 games last year, played well this preseason. It was interesting to hear people compliment him. So that is cool to see. 7 interior linemen, technically. Fisk, Ford, Turner, Davis, Hamilton, and Murchison. And I was really surprised when I saw it initially. DeJuan Johnson, 7. Why would they keep 7 until you look that there's only 4 edge rushers, and DeJuan Johnson was playing at the edge against Cleveland. And I think the Rams had already had their minds made up about Brennan Jackson. Off ball, Spates, Dolak, Landman, and the aforementioned Troy Reeder. 5 corners, Akila Witherspoon, Kobe Durant, Darius Williams, Emmanuel Forbes, and Josh Wallace, another undrafted free agent from a year ago who made an impact, and I'm glad to see him on the team. I was happy not to see him play. 4 safeties, Quentin Lake, Cam Kitchens, Cam Curl, and Jalen McCullough, another UDFA from last year, making the roster again. And that's really interesting. If you want to go through this Ram defense right here, Poona Ford was an undrafted free agent, not by the Rams, of course. Omar Spates, undrafted. Troy Reeder, undrafted. I'm looking at my notes here. Josh Wallace, undrafted. Jalen McCullough, undrafted. We're not going to count Alex Ward or those guys. I'm not sure about Landman. Was Landman undrafted? I'm not sure. I don't have a proper notation next to him. But that's 5 undrafted free agents. And then you've got an undrafted free agent on the IR in Keir Thomas. So pretty cool. Pretty cool there what the Rams do scouting-wise. Leviston, of course, traded. Mario Williams released injured. Tony Fields cut. Dejon Terry, Decarius Hawthorne, Trey Wettig, Ben Dooley, McAllen Castles, Dresser Lynn, Josh Piercy, Mike McAllister, John LeGlue, Brennan Jackson, Willie Lampkin, John Jolly, Darian Kendrick, Charles Woods, Chris Pupal, Mark Redmond, Drake Stoops, Britton Covey, and Jordan Waters all gone. Practice squad, A.J. Curry. He is the Ram that will not die. Wyatt Bowles, who you got an idea he was going to be brought back. True Edwards, you're happy to see brought back. Brennan Presley, you're happy to see brought back. A.J. Green, Jack Heflin, Tanner Engel, Cam Lampkin, Dylan McMahon, who did not play, who must have some injury. There's something going on with him. Jameel Mohammed, who they liked, Elias Neal, Bill Norton, a big body, Rivers, Schrader, and Nate Valcarcel. They brought those guys back for the initial practice squad. All right, let's see what we got here. USA expat. Verse will see a lot of double teams, so Byron Young needs to have a huge game. And he generally does. You know, the team feasted off of Verse getting all the attention last year. And so yeah, I'm feeling really good about this. You know, we go back to the 2023 playoffs against the Lions. What were we saying? Not only did the Rams need a kicker, right, but Byron Young, right? It was like the Rams needed one more pass rusher, and they didn't have him. And if you remember, at the end of 2023, they were blitzing Ernest Jones quite a bit. And 2024, we got the kicker, and we got some depth at pass rusher. So I have every confidence in the world. Plus, Byron Young's playing for his life, right? He's playing for his life. He's in the third year. Second contract for him would come when he's around age 29. I want him to stay a Ram if he keeps on this progression, but you never know. He needs to continue to ball out. Steve Ramirez, what's your opinion on Shedeur fans calling out Browns coach saying he was set up? Oh, that one was easy, Steve, right? You know, they said they cut everybody on the offensive line for Shedeur, but two of the guys were also blocking for Dylan Gabriel, and two of the guys were also blocking for Tyler Huntley, right? Also, you know, yeah, he was playing with the Browns threes, but he was playing against the Rams threes, right? These guys, Jack Heflin, Tanner Ingle, Cam Lampkin, Jameer Mohammed, Bill Norton, these guys didn't make the Rams either. And so Stefanski didn't need to. He didn't play well. That's the bottom line. He didn't play well, and he doesn't respond well. Now, that little jaunt he took down the sideline, I was watching that with Mid-Valley Sports' Dwayne Barker. When he took that jaunt down the sideline, it's like, man, bad body language, bro. And I think, again, that goes back to it. It's something we were talking about in the spring, is that this is the real world for the first time for Shedeur Sanders. I do believe, you know, he is a much bigger talent than a fifth-round guy. The guy could play football, but he's got to ruin it with his own head, and he's never had to face adversity. His dad's his OC in high school. His dad's his head coach at Jackson State. His dad's his head coach at Colorado. They're appearing at NBA games, you know, in the nice seats and everything, the sideline seats. He's never had adversity, right? And now Daddy can't save him, and he needs to show. He says the right things, but sometimes his body language just isn't what it should be. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him because I want to go down Steeler fan Rob's case for passing up on him in the draft. So there you go. Forgotten Locale, thank you for joining. NFL becoming a victim of Nike's yearly rotating alternate uniform gimmicks. ML, yeah. When you're seeing the Boston Red Sox look like the Oakland A's, what a joke, right? What an absolute joke that is. I know everyone's praising Manfred, but what a joke that Manfred would allow that to happen. What a joke that Boston ownership would do something like that. That is just preposterous. And honestly, yeah, for the NBA, who sold its soul much longer ago, it's a joke, right? It's an absolute joke. I think it's a disdain for the fans, and I would never. I know if I was still in that young adult age when all those things were cool, I still would never have bought them. Never, ever. Not even come close to buying those things. It's for a different age. And I think, you know, those younger folks are buying it, but those younger folks are kind of living off mom and dad's money. And so maybe you should appeal to mom and dad. I don't know. Thanks for bringing that up, Forgotten. It's true. Manny Vasquez, glad they brought back the Presley kid, has some nice speed. I'm glad he made it through waivers. I'm really glad he's still around. That's going to be interesting to see him develop. USA Expat, thank you. Landman was a UDFA, so I got a color coordinated board. And undrafted free agents are purple, right? It's what I do. 5th round picks are green. 6th round picks are magenta. 7th round picks are orange. 1st round picks are black. 2nd round picks are blue. 4th round picks are brown. So that's how I know when I'm looking at my screen here, I don't have to go write anything extra. I just got it all color coordinated. Is that cool, or is that nerdy? Let's see. Manuel Vasquez, with the addition of Ford and better linebackers, I think the Rams have a good chance of being a top 10 D. What do you think? I think the secondary is better than they're being given credit for. I think the pressure they're going to produce because there's a little more speed now. God bless Christian Roseboom. Played his heart out last year. Played better than I ever thought he could. but Landman's a better athlete. Landman's a better athlete, so they're going to be a little bit better in coverage. And I don't know, was it USA Expat? Who was it? Bill? One of you guys was talking about giving that pass rush, giving them back that extra half second, right? Instead of 2.5 for the quarterback, he only has 2. And that's the difference, right? And it makes everything easier. I think they are going to be much more solid up the middle. I don't know. I really like this Ram team, and I can't understand why everybody is falling all over themselves to praise and talk about the 49ers. I just do not understand. But I do think the Rams have a great defense. Michael Negretti, well, the prodigal son is back up. Pastor Joe, I thought you went to Blitzburg or to the Eagles. Welcome back. Yeah, Kistler Law was going to put me on waivers, and then they decided to give me one more shot. So they brought me back before giving me my unconditional release. So thank you to Kistler Law. All right, with Kistler Law, with that mentioned, we do want to say thank you to Kistler Law. They are our sponsor, and they allowed me to help me to morph from sports writer to podcaster. I was a sports writer for 21 years, one of the founding guys at Mid-Valley Sports. And you can read pretty good NFL column there from Tim Burns at Mid-Valley Sports. Does it once a week. Check that out. And congratulations to Tim Burns, who writes our Oakland A's or our Las Vegas A's or our West Sacramento A's column there at Mid-Valley Sports. Recently, Locked On A's has contacted him, and he's recording some episodes for the Locked On A's broadcast. Mr. Burns, climbing the ladder. We're going to be working for him someday. And so that's my background a little bit. I also pastor a small church in Burbank and Burbank Faith Nazarene. And we're right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, and Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. And you guys kiss the law, and you guys buying my books helps keep me employed. So thank you very much for your support. Be checking us out on a podcast from the RamCave, RamView. We do appreciate your support and that we get to do this. All right, Michael Negretti, I do appreciate you welcoming me home. Rams 74. I was hoping for a Rams uniform in the style of Michigan Wolverines. That might cause me to compromise a little bit. Very big on the maize and blue, right? Very big on the maize and blue. You got me there. Hate Ohio State, love Michigan. USA Expat, help the D and the pass rush by making Houston have to go to a silent count. In SoFi? Yeah, I don't think SoFi was not built for Ram fans. SoFi was built for temporary fans. SoFi was built for fair weather fans. SoFi was built for the Hollywood elite. SoFi was not built for real fans, and that's why it'll always be an issue there, and especially as the Rams do not cultivate this kind of a crowd. They cultivate the vapid, the ephemeral, the temporary, the front-running crowd with their ridiculousness. They need to move away from the Hollywood and get out to the San Fernando and San Gabriel valleys. Go east, young man, is what I would say to Kroenke and Demoff. But I don't know. They're never. Here's the thing. The center of that Texas line is hollow on both sides. It'll mitigate Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. Everyone's talking about how they're going to eat up Matthew Stafford. I think the Rams could just give the Texans a federal pounding and then a couple of play actions, and I think the Rams are going to be in real good shape. USA Expat, expect the D will produce more turnovers. Emmanuel Forbes, right? That could be the key right there. Big play guy in the secondary. Tim Burns, Steeler fan Rob made the Pittsburgh Cheers practice squad. I think Steeler fan Rob, I'm taking the Jets. Unless something changes, I'm taking the Jets opening week. He's going to be so mad at me, but that's what I'm feeling. Steve Ramirez, FYI, Joe, good story on the North. Thank you very much, Steve. First time I wrote a game story in 8 years. So I was at the end of my vacation. The Mid-Valley Sports guys, they had to cover a football game in Vegas from out here in the San Gabriel Valley, and I was available. So I went out there and wrote my first game story in 8 years, and I hadn't done that. Man, that was weird, right? That was really weird doing it. It was very surreal. But thank you very much, Mr. Ramirez. I do appreciate that. Mikey Gutierrez, Miami's rivalry jerseys just got linked on Twitter. Black jerseys. Is that stupid or what? That is so stupid. Yeah. I don't want to say a curse on black jerseys that don't belong to the Raiders or Steelers, but because that might curse the Rams. But how stupid is that, right? How dumb. Goodell, you're a joke. Anyway, there we go. We need a rival league to make the NFL clean up its act. All right. Tim Powers out in Irvine. Hey, Joe, I know playing in the NFL is a great achievement, but does every tackle, sack, and touchdown have to be celebrated as a great accomplishment? Take a clue from Harold Jackson. Yeah, he just kind of handed it off, right? Before Barry Sanders, before a lot of those other guys, Walter Payton, he used to just hand it off, right? Harold Jackson. No, I don't know, right? I don't know, right? Everyone's got a brand. Everyone's got their TikTok. I like to think in some ways they're saving their money and planning for the future, but I think the planning for the future is becoming a brand on social media. And so I think that brings it about, right? I think it brings it about. But, you know, people our age used to get mad at Charlie Taylor. Charlie Taylor, former Redskins wide receiver, I don't know if they ever put him in the Hall of Fame, but he passed Don Maynard in the mid-'70s as the all-time reception leader. I think he caught 633 passes, or he passed 633. Every time Charlie Taylor scored a touchdown, all he did was just hold himself up like this. He'd stand in the end zone and do this. And I remember people getting upset about that. So I don't know, you know. I don't mind a spike, a good spike. I don't really care about Fun Bunch. That never bothered me. I don't like it when they flag the guys for taunting. These are men. They should be treated like men. If they don't like it and they start a fight, then bench them for 3 games. If they don't like how somebody celebrates and they start a ruckus, then suspend them for 3 games. You're supposed to be a man, right? And this is the joke of college football as well as high school football. Too much celebration, and it's like, you know what? You're training these guys to be men, right? And by the time they get to the NFL, they should be men. But I don't care about much of that stuff. I do think it's stupid when you make a tackle, you have to go full Mark Gastineau, but it is what it is, right? And if I was a quarterback in the league, the last thing I would do after sliding for a first down is get up and point first down. I would just get my butt back to the huddle, right? Of course, I never had the wheels to scramble for a first down. Steve Romero, SoFi is a destination stadium for visiting fans to take a look-see. That place is, yeah, I can't even describe how that place looks. Tim Burns, Rams 11-6, Seattle 10-7, San Francisco 8-9, Arizona 7-10. Ooh, you're going low end with the Rams. I'm saying if Stafford's healthy, the Rams 13-4. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Mr. Burns. Manny Vasquez, Falcons lost Penix's blindside. Yeah, Caleb, that guy went down, right? Caleb McGarry. That draft pick is looking better and better. Absolutely, Manuel. Mikey Gutierrez, I was at the Cardinal game this year when the Rams fans showed up. It's a great atmosphere. Probably because it's the Cardinals, right? I'm sorry. I'm dumping on you. Forgive me, Micah. I think I'm going to a Ram game this year. I think I am. There we go. I better change my attitude. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, did you see that Isaiah Simmons was released by the Packers? Then it said that the Rams signed him. Did you see that? I haven't heard anything else. Someone want to help me with that? I didn't see Isaiah Simmons being signed by the Rams. Someone let me know about that. That guy's a heck of an athlete. He's like a football player without a position. Cardinals tried it. Giants tried it. And I guess the Packers just tried it. But no one can seem to know what to do. I don't know if he's an attitude. Maybe he's not a locker room guy, doesn't fit the Ram profile. But he's a heck of an athlete. I did not see anything. So if someone sees that, let me know. That I wouldn't be burned about that. USA Expat, cannot ever forget Billy White Shoe Johnson's TD dances. Yeah, did we like those or were we upset by those? I only saw them in highlights, right? Tim Burns, yes, White Shoes Johnson. Even I have seen that. I kind of liked a guy named Elmo Wright for the Chiefs. He was their number 2 receiver. Otis Taylor was there. Early 70s. He did kind of a high step, and I was an Elmo Wright guy. Look up Elmo Wright on YouTube, and it was a lot of fun. All right, we did the practice squad there, all the usual suspects. Around the NFL and other places.
Stay in your lane, bro.
I am in my lane. It's the NFL football. All right. Remember when McSnead That's McVay and Les Snead had that weird, almost like they had been having too many beers. They laughed during the first round of the 2022 draft when the Patriots took Cole Strange out of Chattanooga. They took him 29th overall, and he was being projected like third round, and Belichick grabbed him in the 29th. Well, he was cut yesterday by New England and signed by Cleveland. So I'm sure McSnead is having another laugh. That one is funny. I'm wondering if they just sent out some disinformation and Belichick bought it, and that's why they were laughing that night. But do you remember that? All right. Let's see. Taxkins, Terry McLaurin, 3 years, 96 rocks. Good for him. Smart of the Taxkins. Good move. Bengals gave Trey Hendrickson 1 year, 30 rocks. Good for him. He goes down. He got 30 rocks, right? Caleb McGarry gone for the year. We talked about that. Adam Thielen goes back to Minnesota from Carolina. That breathes a little desperation. I know people were getting all hot for the Vikings, and they need a compliment to Justin Jefferson, and Thielen's got a lot of mileage on him. Eagles last week, we saw this. They released DTR. They also released Syracuse quarterback Kyle McCord. They traded for Sam Howell. They signed Carson, and the Vikings, they traded for Sam Howell from the Vikings, right? Because the Vikings signed Carson Wentz. That was interesting. Cowboys released former starter La'el Collins. Dolphins cut Mike Hilton corner. I wouldn't want to be a Dolphin fan, plus those black jerseys. Tampa cut Shiloh. Lions cut Hendon Hooker. That was a bummer. Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice gets a 6-game suspension. And Jets cut longtime Nebraska quarterback. I think he was there 20 years, and then he spent some time in the UFL, Adrian Martinez. And then my note to Tyson Bagent. Last week, over the weekend, they gave him a 2-year, 10-rock contract extension. Good for him. But my note to him or those around him would be careful, because he's going to meet a lot of new cousins in the coming months, because I appreciated him talking about how his dad didn't have indoor plumbing until he was in high school. I think that's great. He wants to help his family, and if it's his mom and dad, great, go for it. But I just don't want to see too many people coming to him, because we've seen players overwhelmed by family. And your first responsibility, I'll tell you this, is not to your neighborhood. Your first responsibility is not to your distant cousins. Your first responsibility is to your wife and kids, and then mom and dad, right? And that's not abandoning the neighborhood and forgetting your roots, right? Take care of those closest to you. Anyway, speaking of former Rams.
Oh, they come and they go, Hobbs. They come and they go.
So I wanted to bring this up. Former Rams that, they got rid of this guy. And I've cried over a couple of these guys. Not cried, but whined a little bit. But this is interesting, because do you miss these guys? Saints cut Cam Akers and Terrell Burgess. I was always in the Terrell Burgess camp, and didn't work out. And he's been all over the league since the Rams cut him. Jets cut Tyler Johnson. Remember Tyler Johnson last year with the Rams? Made some plays, and the Jets cut him. Carolina cut Bryce Perkins. The Falcons released Morgan Fox and Nikola Kalinick. He was the Mark Redmond for the last 2 years. Cardinals cut Benton Whitley, whose name was brought up by, I think, was it Brian Smith last week. He was in Rams camp and was signed off the practice squad by the Chiefs a number of years ago. Cardinals cut him. Steelers cut Robert Woods and former Nelson Spruce Award winner Lance McCutcheon. Lance McCutcheon caught a touchdown pass in week 3 of the preseason, and now he's unemployed again. But don't the practice squad guys get about $12,000 a week? So for 18 weeks, you're getting $12,000 every week. I'm wondering if they're just making whole, seasons, driving Uber the rest of the time, and then just banking that dough. Maybe not be a bad way, to make a modest living until you get married. Jaguars cut John Wolford. Do you miss him? Cowboys cut Ernest Brown IV. Do you miss him? Colts cut Duke Shelley. Remember the Rams signed Duke Shelley in 2023? Played really well for the Rams, and they didn't bring him back. Eagles released Oshwan Mathis, and they put him in the street. Connor McDermott, who was with the Rams all last year but never played, and Quintus Cephas, who was a practice squad guy. He was also cut by the Texans. Think how desperate the Texans are for offensive linemen right now, and they put Connor McDermott, a veteran, in the street. I'll let you know how bad Connor McDermott is. All those guys, right? Do you miss any of them? I think Tyler Hall got released by the Seahawks. He was in Rams camp about 5 years ago. And so, yeah, it's like, oh, they got rid of so-and-so. So when you see Pooh Paul or Lampkin go, maybe Charles Woods or it's like, what, the Rams kind of know what they're doing. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt. I doubt very much if any of these guys are going to be the equivalent of Justin Turner getting let go by the Mets and becoming an all-star with the Dodgers, right? Texans Joe Mixon is on the IR. Will miss the opener. We talked about that. Currently they are projecting the rookie Irsay left tackle and a center right now who's projected as a starter, Jake Andrews. 2 years ago, he appeared in 2 games with the Patriots, got about 71 snaps, and that was in 2023. He didn't play a down last year, and right now he's projected as their starting center. So, Chargers got Mekhi Becton back in the lineup. They cut Taylor Heineke, which we were thinking they were going to do, and they cut Jerry Rice's kid, Brendan Rice. He got kicked to the curb. Raiders are interesting. Not only they signed Brendan Jackson, but they traded for Kenny Pickett because Aiden O'Connell went down. So what they're saying is that we don't want to just back off if something happens to Geno Smith. We're trying to do something more. They also signed Amari Cooper. They got a cutthroat price for him because he can still play. He's not a number one, but they needed someone like him. Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, an offensive line, Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, Jordan Meredith, Jackson Powers Johnson, DJ Glaze. That's not bad. And so even though they're most likely going to be a 4th place team in the AFC West, they said, we're not going to settle, right? We're not going to settle. I think the Raiders are looking really, really interesting. Okay, looking at the NFC West, Fog City. They trade for Brian Robinson and only give up a 6th round pick. He's not a great back, but that's a good insurance policy because all the younger guys that were backing up Christian McCaffrey, they all got hurt. They signed Jeff Wilson, the old guy. They just cut him. So that's not a bad deal there. But are you really counting on Christian McCaffrey not getting hurt again this year? The 49ers also sent a 7th round pick to the Chiefs for Sky Moore, who was a bust there. And speaking of former Chief receivers, they just signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who was chased out of Seattle by a rookie receiver, right? And so they're desperate. Demarcus Robinson got a 3-game suspension to start the season. And I'm hearing all this hype about the 49ers being legitimate contenders. And I'm hearing talk like, the Rams got issues at left tackle. You don't know about Alaric Jackson. The Rams got issues at quarterback because of Matthew Stafford. But, if Alaric Jackson struggles a little bit or doesn't come back right away, you got DJ Humphrey stepping in. Not great, but an NFL left tackle. If Matthew Stafford struggles, not optimal, but Jimmy Garoppolo could step in, who's taken a team to a Super Bowl. But it's almost like these 49er apologists forgetting that the Cardinals are improved, the Seahawks are improved. They got 6 tough division games, right? And they're playing the Buccaneers. This is not as easy a schedule as everyone is saying it is for the 49ers. Plus, they're going into the season with Father Time, Trent Williams at left tackle, who played half the season last year, unproven Ben Barch at left guard. Dominic Puny has a patellar issue or an MCL issue. Right guard, he's on the injured list. He's not even playing, and he's in his 2nd year, and he played well last year, but he's not playing right now. They don't even know who's going to replace him. And at right tackle, they got the average Colton McKivitz. And their center, Jake Brendel, solid, has not missed a game in 3 years, but he's turning 33 in week 1. He hasn't missed a game in 3 seasons, and he's played over 3,000 snaps of the last 3 years. And maybe he's a tiny bit better than Coleman Shelton. But you know what? He's not Creed Humphrey, right? He's not Jack Rudnay. He's not Dwight Stevenson. He's not Ken Iman, right? You choose your Ram center of choice. He's not Doug Smith. And so why are they ignoring and the disaster in their wide receiver room? It's not going to be Brock Purdy's fault. It's going to be Kyle Shanahan's fault. And honestly, when I'm looking at coaches that should be on the firing line by the end of this year, I think the 49ers have this easy schedule, but I think they could go 8-9, I think, as Mr. Burns predicted. And if they go 8-9, somebody's head needs to roll, right? Somebody's head needs to roll. Seahawks lost a backup guy, Christian Haynes, and he's expected to start the season on the IR. Anthony Bradford's going to be their right guard. They still have offensive line issues there in Seattle. Mysteries at center and right guard. Everything else looks okay. And I'll tell you, if you see Pooh Paul getting snaps in week 1 against Frisco, don't be so worried about the Seahawks defense. Cardinals cut Clayton Tune. 5th round. Someone that we were speculating, hey, the Rams should go after Clayton Tune. He was throwing all those passes to Tank Dell at the University of Houston. They cut him, and he immediately signed with the Toronto Argonauts. All right, let's see some of the stuff that's gone in here. I backed away from you guys for a minute. Sorry about that. Micah Gutierrez, looks like Simmons is still a free agent. Okay, there you go. Steve Ramirez remembers Elmo Wright. And he also says maybe Belichick's girlfriend made that pick. Maybe she did. Bengals signed Brett Rippon to the practice squad. Thanks, Bill. Does anyone miss Brett Rippon? You want Brett Rippon back? I'm telling you. I know it's fanboy, or reeks of fanboy. At a certain point, you got to trust McSneed when they're putting people in the street. Let's see. Forgotten Locale. 4th round pick for a 35-year-old, presumably 1-year rental. Very strange. Yeah, very strange indeed. Let's see. Brian Smith. Great take on Pooh, Pastor Joe. Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Manuel Vasquez. Roster is set, so I'm calling it now. Rams 14-3 or 13-4 if they play their backups in the last game. I'm leaning 13-4, but from your lips to the football dude's ears, I hope it's 14-3, right? Michael Negretti, great take on Pooh. He misses. Okay. Brian Smith, Seattle's D potentially scares me. Hopefully they won't be as good as I think they could be. I still think they got pass rush issues. I think they got nice corners. I think they got solid safeties. And the guy in the middle of their line there, their 1st round pick, is it Byron Murphy? The guy that people were flirting with from Texas last year, talking about the Rams should get him to replace Aaron Donald or something. He didn't have a great year. And then there's a lot of age there. Let me see there. Let me scroll down real quick here on Seattle. Oh man, I eliminated those notes. But there's some age there on that defensive line, and they need Murphy to step up, and he didn't really stand out last year. So I think they could be good. I think McDonald's a good coach. I think they could put the hurt on Frisco. I really do. And older team getting beat up week 1 could affect them when they go down to New Orleans, and they might not get the win by the margin they want in New Orleans, and then they got to play Arizona. So the Arizona always plays the 49ers tough. So, thanks for led me into that, Brian Smith, about the Seahawks. Tim Burns, Seahawks is going to be better than they predict. They'll be right there at the end. I don't think they'll be right there at the end. I think they could be a playoff team. I think they could steal a game from the Rams. But we've seen Sam Darnold, right? We know that story. Chris Shula knows that story. We've seen what Jared Verse did to their best tackle, Charles Cross. We've seen that. And McVay's had a pretty good handle on Seattle through the years. I'm not scared about Seattle. I'm not. Again, I think we could lose to them because there's always that game where the Rams don't show up, right? Once a year, there's that Miami Dolphin type game. Let's see here. Michael Negretti, has Belichick proposed to his girlfriend like Travis Kelce proposing to Taylor Swift? I think it's great. Kelce and Swift are engaged. I disagree with J-Mac saying they should live together. I don't think J-Mac's the guy to go to for life lessons. Anyway, but I'm glad. Let him get married. Let him get off the front page. And I don't hate Taylor Swift. I don't listen to her music. I just don't need to see her in between every play, right? I just don't, right? So anyway, let's see. USAX, but why 3 years out on that 7th round pick from Cleveland? I don't know. It's 2028. It's a 2028 pick, isn't it? I think that's what it is. I don't know. We'll see. Tim Burns. Now we have close-ups of Swift until Kelce retires, which should be after this year, right? I think so. Manuel Vasquez. Darnold already has PTSD from Rams defenses, and now he has a worse O-line. There you go. Steve Ramirez. I saw one prediction of the Bucs as top seed. NFC South is an easy division for them to play, and they play the AFC. Then they play the AFC East. Okay. I think the Buccaneers, I'm glad Mr. Burns remembers it, but I do think the Buccaneers are this team that they can give a lot of teams trouble. I do believe that. I really, really do. Okay, we hit the 50-minute mark. Let's
It was a stone groove, my man.
let's look at this day in Rams history. Rams on this day in 1961 sent Del Schaffner and a first-round pick in 1962, which turned out to be 13th overall, to the Giants for the Giants' first-round pick in 62, and that turned out to be the second pick overall, and that pick was Roman Gabriel. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. In that 1962 draft, on this day in 1962, they drafted a kicker named Jim Bakken, 7th round out of Wisconsin, and he kicked in the NFL for 17 seasons for the Cardinals. Straightaway kicker, 4-time Pro Bowler, all-decade team, both 60s and 70s. Remember Jim Bakken? And in that 62 draft, the Rams drafted Roman Gabriel, 2nd overall, Merlin Olsen, 3rd overall, and a forgotten guy, maybe Steve Ramirez remembers him, but a guy that was a solid contributor on the Rams offensive line throughout the 60s named Joe Carollo. And he doesn't get his flowers because, he was one of the guys they moved off of when Bob Brown came in and stuff. But Joe Carollo was the 16th overall pick, I think 2nd round in 62. That was a heck of a draft for the Rams. On this day in 1967, the Rams sent George Youngblood, defensive back, no relation to Jack or Jim, to the Cleveland Browns for a 3rd round pick in 68. Then they packaged that 3rd round pick in 68 with a 1st round pick and a 2nd round pick in 69. That 1st round pick in 68 that went to the Lions was Earl McCullough, former USC sprinter, had a nice career. And that 2nd round pick was Jim Yarbrough, who was an offensive tackle that played a number of years for the Lions. And that 3rd round pick that they sent turned out to be 3rd round, 74th overall. That pick was used to take Hall of Fame tight end Charlie Sanders. There you go, huh? And who was the player the Rams acquired? Roger Brown. And Roger Brown ended up in 67 becoming the member of the fearsome foursome that replaced Rosie Greer, who I think was his knee, or was it an Achilles? What was it in 60? He played the 66 season, but was injured in 67. And so the Rams made the move for Roger Brown. On this day in 73, the Rams sent a 5th round pick to the Vikings for veteran Charlie Stukes, 6'3", 212 as a cornerback. Is that awesome or what? I loved Charlie Stukes. I see 47 for the Rams. I see Charlie Stukes. He had 32 picks in his 8-year career. He had 12 picks with the Rams. Blew out a knee in 75 the week before the season starts and was waived early in 76. For the Rams, he had 28 games, 28 starts, won a ring with the Baltimore Colts. And then on this day in 74, the Rams traded Harry Shue to the Packers for a 6th round pick. I forgot what they did with that 6th round pick. On this day in 1994, the Rams released Cleveland Gary and Mark Botte. On this day in 1995, they released Tommy Maddox. Sorry, Steve Ramirez. And on this day in 1999, Trent Green went down for the season, and everything changed in Rams history. On this day in 2023, the Rams cut Lance McCutcheon, so he's used to it. They also cut Jordan James. They cut Tanner Ingle, who's still around, and a bunch of other guys that no one remembers. And then since we're not on the air tomorrow, on this day, on August 29th, 1973, Marlon McKeever retired. On August 29th, 1986, Gary Green and Eric Harris were waived. 1988, Steve Dills and Ross Browner were waived. 1995, Fred Stokes was waived. And in 2017, Eric Dickerson signs a 1-day contract to officially retire as a Ram. 2023, Rams put Logan Bruss and Robert Rochelle in the street. They brought Bruss back. And then in 2024, the Rams released on this day Zach Evans, one of those guys who was declared to be a steal of the draft. All right, we got it all in there. All right, let's see if you guys have any question. Steve Ramirez, preaching Gabe. There we go. Tim Burns, I'm calling it here. 2 kickers will exceed a 70-yard field goal this year. All right, I'll take you on, Mr. Burns. I don't think it's going to happen. There we go. Let's see. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe. Darnold thought he saw ghosts, but instead it was Jared Verse. sacking him and breaking a leg. Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be rough. He's got to face – he faced the Rams twice last year. He's got to face them twice again. Steve Ramirez, Achilles. Okay, so it was for Rosie Greer and Achilles. Okay. Let's see. Forgotten Locale. If you're still out there, I'm going back. My mind's going back. 4th-round pick for a 35-year-old, presumably a 1-year rental. Very strange. Are you talking? Is that Thielen? Is that Thielen you were talking about? I my mind said go back to that. Let me know. All right. What else we got going on here? Okay. I want to end this before the hour. It's a little easier to load it up as a podcast if we don't go to the hour. Thank you. All right. I thought that was it. All right. Thielen. Yeah. It is a rental. It's got to be, right? It's got to be a rental. So, bingo. All right. So, yeah, I do like the Rams' chances this year. Of course, Stafford goes down. Anything can happen. But I'm not sold on the 49ers. I think the Cardinals and Seahawks are going to be better. I think any one of those teams can steal a game from the Rams. I think the Rams could go 4-2 in the division, right? I can give away the Eagles game. I can give away the Ravens game, right? There's your 13-4, right? But I do like the Rams for the most part. I like them against the Titans. I like them against the Colts. Titans, I like them against the Texans. They got a hole in the middle on both sides of the line. Titans just aren't there yet. That's 2 wins. Then they go, let's say they lose to the Eagles. They're 2-1. Colts don't have a quarterback, Daniel Jones. So their Rams are 3-1. Rams get the 49ers at home, and I think that's a Thursday night game. And that game is interesting because, the 49ers still be healthy, but it'll also be at SoFi. I'm going to give the Rams that game. I'm going to give them. That means they're 4-1. Lose to the Ravens, 4-2. Beat the Jaguars, 5-2. Beat the Saints and Spencer Rattler, 6-2. The Niners, I think by week 10 are going to be broken down, 7-2. Rams beat the Seahawks, 8-2. Rams beat the Buccaneers at home, 9-2. Beat the Panthers on the road, 10-2. Rams beat the Cardinals, 11-2. Lions at the Rams, 12-2. Rams maybe lose to the Seahawks, 12-3. Okay, Rams beat the Falcons, and so I'm working through here. It's 14-3. I still think there's going to be one game in there that there's a joker in the deck, right? That nobody counts on. There's always that game where the Rams don't show up, right? There's always that game, and also another thing that we've become kind of accustomed to is slow starts, right? Rams should not lose to the Texans. They should not lose to the Titans. That week 5 game against the 49ers is the first opportunity for them to have a hiccup, right? No one's gonna have a heart attack if they lose to the Ravens. But if they lose to the Niners at home, I think it's going to be because they had a brain fart or something goes on and everything. But I am a little tired of close games. I do want to see some blowouts. Like I said, that was the least enjoyable winning season I've ever had as a Rams fan was last year because everything was nervous time at the Forum, as Chick said. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. I got to get out of here. But thank you for putting up with me. You guys waited. You were patient. I was gone. Yeah. So past 2 slow starts due to injuries. Don't see it this year. I agree with you, Steve. God bless, guys. We'll see you on Friday.